Hi everyone, welcome to the next monthly project. This is number 22 and the theme is Draw Your Childhood, which basically just means draw your favorite childhood franchise. I thought this would be really fun and I really wanted to touch on that nostalgia. There's nothing more motivating than a bit of nostalgia and something that you find really motivating. And I feel like most of us would have a lot of special things from our childhood that we'd love to draw and bring to life in some artwork. So I do these monthly projects as part of my Patreon and I set out a theme each month. Gives people a reason to draw and practice and improve and get better. And I also pick out 3 submissions each month to critique, and we're going to get into that soon at the end of the video. So let's jump straight in and check all these out. I also want to congratulate the 3 critique winners. These are the ones that I've chosen. We've got Brett, Darren, and Nemo. These are 3 really awesome pieces, but I specifically chose each one because I felt there was a good teaching moment in each of these for a critique. So we'll get into those later and I'll give some feedback. Alright, Leandro is up first, and you chose Ben 10, which is a really cool TV show from the early 2000s. And let's have a look at your artwork. Wow, this is massive. You've done an absolutely huge piece here. So much going on. Look at all these different characters. You've really got a lot going on there. I really just want to soak it in. This was a massive show too back in the day. I really love this. Very impressive work there as well. That line work. The amount of effort that you've put into this is just astounding. Beautiful stuff there. Really loving that, Leandro. So you should be pretty proud of yourself. Alright, next is Olivia. And you chose to do The Simpsons, which I'm pretty sure everyone's familiar with. This was a big part of everyone's childhood. And let's have a look at your artwork. This is awesome. So you've done a bit of a crossover with the Fantastic Four here. And the Silver Surfer as well. This is great. You've done a great job of getting the likeness or just matching that style as well. So that's really good. I bet this was a lot of fun to make. Thanks so much. And next up is Cyril's submission, and this is from Dragon Ball Z, which was one of my favorites as a kid as well. I grew up with Dragon Ball Z. This is my era. And this is Goku versus Majin Vegeta. I hope I've said that right. But this is great. This is so cool, and it really looks like an official piece, I think. Like this is great. Look at that detail coming through. The foreshortening's just beautiful. And I love how you got all those sketchy lines, like just on the anime, like really roughed out. It's got that edgy look to it. I really think this is just beautiful. So really, really good work there, Cyril. I think you've done a top job. All right, next up is Paul, and you've done a few different things here. You've got Captain Planet, which is awesome. That was a big part of my childhood as well. And you've also got Trapjaw here from He-Man, which is a really cool looking piece here. This is great. Nice foreshortening coming through. And Captain Planet looks really good here as well. Nice action pose. You managed to do a 3rd piece for this month as well. You're really hammering it out. And you've got Sonic here, which is awesome. Really liking that one as well. Yeah, great work there, Paul. I think you've done a great job of getting all of these together in such a short amount of time. Alright, next up is Sai, and you've done Popeye. I also remember Popeye from my childhood. I loved it. I thought it was a great show. And let's have a look at your art. I just think you've really nailed this look. Like it looks like an official piece of artwork for the actual shows. You've just absolutely nailed it. The line work, the colouring, just the tone is just perfect. And it's not the only one you've done. You've done a Batman from 1966. This is the Adam West Batman, which is an absolute classic. And you've really this is awesome. You've nailed it. Bit of a modern twist here. It's great to see it in a fresh take with your style. This is great. All right, next up is Paul, and you've done Peter Pan from the classic 1950s version of Peter Pan in the cartoon. And this is great. You've really got that same kind of cartoony vibe going on. I can see like the nostalgia really kicking in here. You've nailed it with the line work and everything on Peter Pan there. Just all looks great. Hook looks awesome. And I especially love the croc too, just the style there. You've really pulled that off. So great work there, Paul. Those colors are looking really good. All right, next is John. You've done Spider-Man. So you mentioned Spider-Man was a big part of your childhood. Same with me, obviously. I'm a massive Spider-Man fan. This is super clean, really nice. You've got some real solid line work there. The colors are nice, really nice and vibrant. And that background, look at that background. That's huge. I reckon that would have taken some time. But this is really nice to see, John, and I hope you've had a lot of fun with it. You can't go wrong with Spider-Man. He's always so much fun to draw. Alright, next is Steven, and you've done RoboCop. RoboCop was just one of my absolute favourites as a kid. Such an awesome character. Let's have a look at your artwork. You've also done Thundercats, which is a big hit. That was awesome. I think everyone's had that in their childhood as well. But this RoboCop artwork's looking really nice. Looks like it belongs on like a VHS cover, you know, like an official poster from that time and that era. And I really love that you've done that kind of style. The pencil work, everything here, all those nice details. The fact that you can also read down the leg there of that imprint on his leg is just awesome. So that's looking really cool. Especially your Thundercats work as well. I like this style that you've got going on through here. So these are really cool to see, Stephen, and I hope you've had a lot of fun with those. Thanks so much. Alright, next up is Harrison, and you've done a massive Crash Bandicoot piece. One of the best video games you could play as a kid. And you look at this massive piece that you've done here. This is huge. Looks like you've spent all month just doing all these different characters. Great work on all of these as well. Really super clean work. Look at that line work. Really nice. I love this guy. Ripperoo, I think his name was. Such a cool character. Just looking at these characters is really giving me nostalgia as well. I remember this guy with the Tommy gun trying to go up against him. And that's one of the first bosses in the first Crash Bandicoot. This is awesome. I love it. So much cool stuff going on there. You should be really proud of yourself for that amount of effort. You've just done so much. Great work, Harrison. Next up is Brett, and you've done Mega Man. Mega Man's a massive hit, and I remember going to the arcade as a kid and really diving into those retro games back then. This is really bringing back memories, and this is great work, by the way. Really, really nice work going on here. The style is awesome. Line work's looking really good. The way you've put this all together is just really great. I love that. I love that you can see all those faces and the way that these poses are really, really top notch as well. Awesome work, Brett. Alright, next up is Douglas, and you've done Ghostbusters, which is a big nostalgia hit for me. I love that franchise, but I remember watching that cartoon as a kid as well, and it's one of my favorites. This is bringing back some real memories of that as well. So the way your style is just so unique, and I really think it works beautifully for this Ghostbusters piece. You've really leveled them up as well, you know, enhanced their look. The way you've done them, it's like you've really just ran with it. So great work there. I think that's awesome, Douglas. Alright, next is Eric, and you've actually done a collaboration with Justin here, and this is for Super Smash Bros, which I think everyone can agree, this is just such a big game, and I think everyone's had a bit of a go of this game as a kid. And what you've done here in this piece is huge. I'm really glad that you guys teamed up, and that's really good to see that you guys are working together, because you can take on a bit more, I guess. You know, you can actually, with a bit of teamwork, look at what you've done. You've really pulled together this massive background, a bunch of characters, all in a month. So that's really good to see. There's a lot of action going on here as well. I love Donkey Kong looking up as well. Link there, you've got Link. I think you've done an awesome job. Alright, next up is Joe, and you've done Inspector Gadget. I remember this show well. I loved it. Such a cool show. And this is really cool to see as well. I love what you've done here. This is super clean, really clean work. I love that you've got his hand coming out like that stretchy arm and the roller skates. I also love that you've got a bit of a texture going through this work as well, if you have a look. It's really popping out as well off that backdrop. So well done. That's awesome work there, Joe. Alright, next up is Abby, and you've done Majin Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z, which is such a cool choice. I loved that. Such an epic character. So let's have a look at your artwork. I think this is really cool. I love that he's all battle damaged and ripped up and looking super strong there as well. Love how the energy is swirling around and the dust is kicking up. The line work's looking nice and bold on the outside there, which is good. Nice thin lines on the inside, especially like your little battle damage sketchy lines, I should say. So yeah, really good work there, Abby. Alright, next up is Laras, and you've done Sailor Moon. I remember this show so well because I used to watch it just before Dragon Ball Z. And I really love what you've done here. Such a full, colourful piece here as well. So much going on. You've managed to do all these characters in the month. I really love the bold lines you've got. These are all held together really well drawn. Love the faces. These are absolutely awesome. Really, really cool work. Top-notch stuff. I bet that was a lot of fun to do as well. I really love what you've done with the background especially. You could make a really cool poster out of that. So yeah, awesome work there, Laras. Alright, next up is Carl. And you've done Sonic, one of my absolute favorites as a kid as well. Pretty sure everyone loves Sonic. And let's have a look at your piece here. You've done a really cool piece. All these characters, this is like a full poster, which is really impressive. I could see this like printed up on the wall. I love your style. You've got a really cool style, and I think it really works well for this piece, especially with Sonic. You got Knuckles there and Tails. The composition and the way this is planned out, I think, is really great. Yeah, great work there, Carl. All right, next is Patrick, and you've done Thundercats. Thundercats is such an epic franchise as well. I remember it well. It was right up there with He-Man, all that testosterone and swords and things like that. So it's awesome. Really cool to see. And let's check out your work. I want to have a look at this. So nice to see Chitara here, and you got Lion-O. This is great. This is cool. They're both really well drawn. I really like the way your line work's really nice as well. The way it goes like really thin. And you got a nice balance to it as well. So super thin, and then it like thickens out a little bit more. It's just got a nice flow to it. I hope you got a lot of motivation out of doing this, like with the nostalgia, you know. That's why I kind of picked this theme. I just feel like it's a really good motivator, and yeah, no, this is really cool. Thanks, Patrick. I love what you've done. All right, next up is Robert, and you've got this piece here. This is actually from Thunder the Barbarian. I haven't actually heard of this one myself, but it's really nice to see you doing something that you love, something that was a big part of your childhood, and these guys look really great as well. I can see you going with that style as well, matching that style and the color tone as well from that era. This guy looks great with his pose. She looks cool. Yeah, nice work there, Robert. Thanks so much. All right, next up is Skylar, and you chose to do Avatar, the Airbender. So that's a really cool series. Let's have a look. Let's dive into your work. This is great. You've got a really cool action pose. This is cool. Really nice composition there. I really like what you've done with this guy, looking right up at him. Really tells a good story and brings this piece together well. Yeah, really dynamic. I especially like how the fire is like creeping up around the edge and then goes up here in the foreground. Really brings a lot of dimension to this piece. Yeah, great work there, Skylar. All right, next is Virgilio, and you've done Mario, Super Mario, one of my absolute faves as a kid as well. I still play it today with my kids. So let's have a look at this piece. I want to have a look. You've got so much going on here. Looks like you've taken on like your own style, like a bit of a mashup, you know, really steering away from their classic look and going with your own kind of thing, which is cool. They're like really souped up. I like them poses. That's cool. Nice to see a bit of a spin on it with these characters. Yeah, nice work. Bowser's looking really badass up there. That's cool. All right, thanks, Virgilio. That's great. All right, next is Frank, and you've done something from Grendizer, which I'm not quite familiar with, but it looks really cool. I like this. Looks like it'd be a really cool show. You got a lot of detail going on here. Looks like you've just gone absolutely crazy with that detail, which is really cool to see. You got this massive guy here. You got a big battle going on in the sky. There's so much going on. Massive piece there. Yeah, great work there, Frank. All right, next up is Aaron, and you've done Captain Planet. This was a big one from my childhood as well. Let's dive into yours. Let's have a look. I like what you've done. This pose, it's got a lot of energy. You've got a lot of energy in this pose, which I like. Colors are looking really nice and chromy as well. I really like the kind of vibrance you've got going through this blue. So he definitely does look super and like glowing, which I really like. Yeah, looks good overall, floating up there in the sky. So that's awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron. I hope you had a lot of fun with that one. All right, next is Andrew Rose, and you've done a little bit of a mashup. So you've got Sonic and Crash Bandicoot here. Good idea putting two characters from your childhood in one piece. Why not, hey? That's great. Good to see. I really like this painted style you've got going as well. You did a really good job. Like at a distance, I literally thought these were made out of like clay, like a claymation character. And that's kind of what I got out of it. And I zoomed in. It's like really, yeah, painted really well. I like that. Yeah, good work there, Andrew. That's great. All right, next up is Chris, and you did Teen Titans, which was a big show, big hit. So let's have a look at your artwork, and I think this is great. You mentioned that you took on like your own kind of style to it, so you wanted to have them developed into a bigger, kind of more adult version. So that's really cool to see. I really like how you've done it as a comic cover, and they're really well drawn. I like what you've done there. Awesome, thanks, Chris. All right, next is Eric, and you've done Metroid. Which is a big video game franchise. I remember this well when I was a kid. And I just want to mention, like, this is great. I really love what you've done here. How you've got that clash between the retro look of the pixelated characters, and then you've got the full detailed, modernized version of Metroid. This pose is really dynamic and it's really well drawn. Look at that line work. Absolutely spot on. This pose is awesome. Really loving that. Make sure you share this online. I reckon it'll be a hit. Alright, next up is Isaac, and you've done Ryu from Street Fighter. Such a cool character, really fun to draw as well. That's great to see this. Let's have a look a bit closer. I want to have a look at some details. I like the sketchy kind of details you've got going through here as well. You even got some stubble in there. That's good. I like the hair and all that. So I bet that was a lot of fun, and I hope you got a good nostalgia hit off that one. Alright, next is Luke, and you've done Transformers, which is such a big franchise, huge. And it was especially great in the 90s as well. And just looking at this looks literally like official artwork. Like, you've done such a good job here. I don't know if it's something that you've done, like a filter over the top, which is making it look like that. I don't know, but it's working. Like, this really does look like it's straight out of the 90s or the 80s or whenever the cartoon was. I reckon you should be really happy with that. Awesome work. Alright, next is Steven, and you've done, this is from Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which is a really cool movie from 1993, I think it was. And let's have a look. This looks like it's like an actual promo for the movie itself. And I just really want to say, this detail coming up through just the blade, like for such a simple piece, I think it's a smart move, because then you can really like focus on some details here, and you've just set the mood. You know, this is beautiful. Love the battle damage on there as well. You got a bit of battle damage. This is just awesome, the way you've painted all that, and the textures and everything through this. So also really loving that smoke effect that's coming up and around there. You've done a top job there. And I've just had a few last minute entries. So here's Renee, and you've got a cool Spider-Man piece here with a bit of a mashup. You mentioned you wanted two of your favorites, so Batman and Spider-Man mashed together. I can see Doc Ock clearly in there. Really like what you've done with those Doc Ock arms there. I love the way that twists around. But this looks great. Really love the energy in the whole piece. The way it's all, you know, he's flipped around nearly upside down with the perspective of the buildings. It just really gives that Spider-Man feel, you know. The aerodynamics flipping around. Batman looks great too. Looks really good there. Just top notch overall. Really love the way it's all been pulled off. So yeah, great work there. Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. And we've got Jordan as well. So here's Jordan's. You've submitted one which is a bit of a mashup from all of your favorite video games or just things by the look of it. So let's have a look. I'm seeing Fallout 4 there, or Fallout 3 I guess, because that was one of my favorites. I see a Deathclaw there. He looks awesome. You're always really killing it with your work. Oh yes, these must be from Assassin's Creed, some Templars or something like that. I'm also seeing the Halo gun there. You've got Skyrim dragon up there. What else am I seeing? There it is. There. Oh, that looks really good, that dragon up there as well. I'm not quite sure who this guy is, but I should know. But this is awesome. A skateboard from obviously probably Tony Hawk's, one of my favorites. That is unreal, Jordan. You've done it. Oh, Zelda's sword up there as well. Yeah, that's great to see. I bet you had a blast doing that. I love this kind of stuff. And last up, we've got Tyre. And I'm actually not quite sure who this character is. I'm sorry. I didn't see anything mentioned in the email, so about who the character is. But yeah, this is cool. Very dynamic pose there. I really love the energy, how that knee is really kicking out. It's really going out this way and flipping around. Really cool action pose. Really, really nice. So that's cool. Yeah, sorry I wasn't quite sure about the character. I should probably know, but anyway. Yeah, thanks for your entry. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get into some critiques now. We're going to start with Brett and then get on to Darren and then Nemo. Alright, Brett, we're going to get straight into it. I really love this, by the way. So Brett has chosen to do Zelda. This might be Ocarina of Time or one of the old video games from your childhood. And Link is just such a cool character as well. Let's check it out a little bit closer and see what you've done. First off, I really want to say I love this pose. You've got a really dynamic pose. I love how his shield is really pulled right back. It just looks really good, and the whole piece is held together really well. Yeah, that pose is great. The colors are looking really good too. Alright, so just some tips and some feedback. I think that the line work is just what needs a little bit of work here. So it's just a little bit, just comes off a little bit bumpy here and there, and a little inconsistent in some areas as well. So I'm going to try and help tighten that up for you and show you what I recommend as well. Okay, so I've just done a liquefy, and this is what it was before, and this is what it is now. So you can kind of see the change. I was just shaping up these hands to be a little bit more structured. Before they were just a little bit distorted, and I just wanted to kind of straighten them up a bit. So pull in those hands a bit, especially this one as well. You can see the way it was, and then it is now. So what I'm going to do now is just go over it and clean up these lines and just show you what I mean about the line work. Okay, so I've just put in some new line work and some flat colors underneath, just so you can see how I would probably approach the line work a little more. Let me just quickly do some rendering. I want to show you how we can also do some rendering and keep it more simple. Alright, so there we go. I've cleaned it all up. I just wanted to show you, it just needed a little bit more clarity. So things just needed to be a little more clearer. So I'll show you the original. So this is the original before I started. So that's before and that's after. So before and after. So yeah, just the clarity really. I just wanted to tidy some things up, mainly with the line work. So that's it. I think that yours, all that you need to do is really just focus on line work, and you'll be unstoppable. Like, this is beautiful. All these colors, the whole setting is just absolutely beautiful. These colors, don't ever change any of that. It's really just your line work. So if we could just get that cleaned up, I reckon your stuff would be just phenomenal. So that's really all I recommend. So I haven't colorized my outlines like you did yet. That's the only thing I haven't done. So see how your nose is like the outlines are actually brown, matching the skin tone. That's really good. That's what you should be doing. I haven't done that yet with mine. But yeah, focus on things like the hands. So you see with the hands and things like that, I'd really love to see them kind of honed in on a little bit more and just structured and just a little more refined, you know? And just think of all those little joints and the way they fold and wrap around each other. That's really all you need to kind of focus on, and then you'll be golden. So I hope that helps, Brett. I didn't get a chance to do the rest of him, but yeah, that was fun. I really love what you've done. And the setup, so keep up the great work. Awesome. Alright, next is Darren, and you've done, this is April from the Ninja Turtles, which is awesome, by the way. I really love what you've done here, because you've got all of their weapons, like she's holding their weapons, so Leo, Donatello, Michelangelo, or Raph I should say. I don't think I can see Mikey's nunchucks there, but that's alright. This is awesome. She looks really cool too, by the way, really badass. I love the angle. You've got a really dramatic kind of angle to that. So yeah, nice work. All right, I'm going to dive into a critique for you, give you some feedback. I think the main thing that's standing out to me overall would probably just be this arm over here. I feel like the placement might be just a little wrong. And it's just mainly with the torso area in the positioning. So I'll show you how we're going to change that. Okay, so I've done a bit of a structure. I've just cleaned it up a little bit more and made it red so it's easier to see. But I'll just flick this on and off so you can kind of see the difference here. The main thing I want you to focus on is just this torso area here. So around this torso area. And if you just look at the one that I've done, you can see how the chest is kind of more, everything's been rotated back, like the shoulders have been rotated back a little bit more. So with the new one, it's kind of like the chest has been moved up. So the chest is up and like as if the shoulders are trying to rotate back that way. So you're kind of shifting the torso up a little bit more so that it's just rotating upwards, so that the chest is now rotating up and puffed out a little bit more. It's just at this unique angle. That's kind of how I can picture it being. I feel like here it's just pushing down in a little bit more towards her, so the chest is just pushing down too far. I feel like the chest is just pushing down too far into the body. So we just, at this angle, I feel like with this pose, she'd really be puffing that out. So that's kind of what I was going for there. Another big change was the hips. So the hips now belong up here, whereas before they're just a bit too far down. So if I mark these with the green, there we go. So I've marked where the original is with the green. So you can see how, it's kind of really tricky to see here, I'm sorry about that, but you can see how low the crutch goes in this original. So the green is the original and the red is the new. You can kind of see how it's rose up a little bit more. So I just really wanted to kind of get that. You see how the waist is a lot lower there. Now that's probably just a stylistic choice, which is fine. But when it comes to anatomy, it's just me being fussy really. I just wanted to kind of show you how I probably picture it in my head. But don't take offense to it or anything like that. It's like I said, it could be a style choice, so totally up to you. I just wanted to show you this option. The other main thing was just the hand here on this side. So I really feel like bringing it round and having the blade go this way, and you can actually see the hand. It's a lot more readable, whereas before, I just feel like it's a little bit misplaced in a different direction. I understand it's kind of, she's aimed it back a little bit more, but I think it might just be a little better to kind of bring it down here to match the other side. Yeah, I think it gets rid of any awkwardness and things like that. So just the placement really. Now I've added some contouring in so you can see as well, but it's just as she gets up to this torso, I really need to kind of puff that chest up and around a little bit more like I mentioned. Oh, and also the arm here I felt was just a little bit too long before. So there it is, it's quite short there. I've brought it up, you can see how much of a change that is. And before it's just quite low, it's like quite low there. And I understand there's a lot of foreshortening, but I think that would be a more comfortable view at that angle as well of that arm. So that's probably a bit more accurate, I think. Alright, I love what you've done. I just wanted to kind of talk about some refining, more outlines, thicker, kind of holding it together a little bit more in the way of thicker brows. And I've also got her eyes looking at us a bit more, so they're angled down a little bit more, the pupils, so they're looking right at us. And it's more about the structure of the face. I felt we just needed to kind of hold it in a little bit more. So I really want to be able to see where that cheekbone goes up and shapes, and then the chin, how that can kind of come up and blend with the side. Now I feel like yours was just coming out just slightly a little too much there, a little too squared off. So I kind of brought that in, and then we can curve that around. And like you've already done, we don't have to connect the chin, but I would like to see some kind of dark shadow underneath the chin because she's got hers lifted up. We can do a bit with the line work, you know. Now again, you do have your own kind of style in this, so I can see that you've got your own, it's more of a digital painted kind of look, a style that you've got going on with some finer lines. But I'm just recommending some thicker lines, or not thicker, just a little bit more balanced, a little bit more. You see how I've got a lot of thin ones around for finer details around the lips, and then I'll go a little thicker where there might be some shadow. And a bit more value overall around the line work. I feel like that might really work well for you as well. So I'd love to see a little bit more of that. And just refining overall. So I'll just show you. You can see here if I flick it on and off, see how the eyes are now looking at us. And yeah, with some line work that's more held together around, especially through the hair. I feel like that might work better. See how through here it's just a little bit lost down through here where the hairline goes, and things like that. I would love to see that refined and like make sure that it all looks really held together, and yeah, it'll be golden. I think you'd be fine. So yeah, I hope that helps, Darren, with that structure overall and the face as well, just refining. I love the face that you've drawn, and I literally just kind of went over the top of it. So it's your drawing. I've just kind of refined it a little bit more so you can see what we could do. Yeah, and yeah, I hope that helps. All right, thanks, Darren. I think your work's awesome. She looks great, and yeah. All right, last critique. We're on to Nemo, and you have done Thundercats, which is really awesome. Look, I first saw this, and I could not believe it. I thought, this is just mind-blowing. Have a look. We're going to zoom right in. You've done such a huge picture here. A lot of great details going on in here. This looks like a Drew Struzan kind of piece of artwork right here. It's like really professional. You really know what you're doing. This is just beautiful. I absolutely love everything about it. I could just look at it all day. This is just top-notch stuff. All the fur textures. Do you know what I really love about this whole thing is the little grain texture that you've got over the entire piece. If I zoom right in, you see how there's a bit of a grain like over the entire picture. I love that. That's really giving it a lot of character and making it feel like it's from the 80s or something like that. Or even that it's like a hand-painted piece on a canvas. That's kind of what I'm getting out of it. So absolutely beautiful work here, Nemo. This is just unreal. So I'm going to try and critique this. It's going to be very hard. But yeah, there's a couple of things I'd like to point out. So I'll just, yeah, we'll get into it. All right, so I've cut this guy out. And I'm going to try and do some proportion changes on him. So I just feel like there's just a couple of things with the proportions that we're going to look at. So let's have a go. Alright, there we go. I've done some changes now to the entire body. Let me show you the original. So before I just did liquefy, it was that. And now it's that. So you can see the kind of changes I'm trying to go for here. Basically, I just wanted to make the pose a little more dynamic in a way. And it was just by popping the chest out more. So I'll just point out, so in the original, it was mainly with the chest that was kind of bothering me a little bit. So the collarbone is currently going down here and it starts about there. Then it's going up. You've got the traps there, but I can't see the shoulder, and I understand that's probably hidden behind there, but I would love to see the shoulder popping out or something where just to help understand the anatomy more. But it was mainly with this chest here. So just here, it just felt like really kind of flat. So just that part there. So I really wanted to kind of puff it out a lot more in that main pec. And yeah, again with the collarbone, right in the center of the collarbone is right there. So you can see you've got the collarbone in the center there. But the center of the neck muscles you've got end up about here. Here we go. I'll use this as a quick example. This is just a 3D model that I found. So you can see here what I mean, the middle of the collarbone and those neck muscles that turn into like a V or a triangle, upside down triangle, they connect right to the middle of the chest there. And even at this kind of unique angle, they still kind of aim towards it, right down toward that part there. So I just felt that in your original, if that's the center of the chest there, I feel like your neck ends up being about there. So I kind of want to bring it over this way a little bit more. And overall, I just felt like I really wanted him to be a lot broader in the torso area. So if you just have a look at the original, see I just puffed mine out a little bit more around here and here. I just wanted a lot more mass. I just wanted a lot more mass around this area here and really kind of get that really puffed out. And then as you're doing your chest, we really need that chest to kind of go up, tuck up there. And then you got it so it wraps around the torso. So if we have and then I want that chest to kind of go over here. And the other one moves away in perspective. So I want that chest to come up, rip right up there, and then that shoulder can bounce up there. And the shoulder ends up going pretty much like this. And we should kind of see just a little bit of shoulder at the back there. And then tricep like this. And then you'll get this nice little muscle here and then the bicep. So I kind of need to, let's just remove a bit of that hidden shoulder that's supposed to be behind there. So that's what we're going to work on next. I really want to try and get this little muscle here that tucks up under. And I think we should probably, like there's that trap that goes up through there in the neck muscle, but I really would like to have some kind of shoulder tucking, like just seeing the shoulder through there. So I'm going to try and work on that soon as well. But your anatomy is really good through all these arms. So you've got the tricep muscle and it really tucks up over there and bulges up. And there's your elbow and right up into that forearm. So your anatomy is spot on. It was really just a proportion thing. There we go. That's drawn over. That's the kind of anatomy or the structure that I'm trying to achieve. So let me refine this a little bit more and see if we can get it just right. So with that collarbone on the other chest, let's put some highlight right here. And then we'll darken it down to really get that in there. All right, right in there. You can see that collarbone now. So see this muscle here? I really want to have like a bit of a bulge about here. I'll try and shade it. See if I can match your shading a little bit. But I'm going to need that muscle to really tuck right into the armpit there. And then I'll just add some nice shading just around this area. I'm going to start to add a little bit more density to these muscles, just a little bit. Alright, there we go. So I've just done some refining on those muscles and a bit of rendering. So I'll just show you what I did just before I started doing that. So before I started doing the rendering, just refining there and then after. So before and then after. And you can just see the changes that I've done slightly. It's just mainly with here underneath the, between the bicep and the tricep, there's usually this little diamond muscle that tucks right in the armpit. And you've got it there by the looks of it, but it just needs to be brought under and tucking into the pec. That's all. It's just fussy stuff. This is just me being fussy. And I'd love to see those muscles just even more refined, a bit more ripped and tucked in. That's all, just a bit more definition. So underneath the forearm there, I added a little more shading, just to refine that a little more. Have a look at this chest. So basically, I wanted to make the chest seem more chiseled, and before I just feel like it is chiseled, but it's just a bit too much blur shading that continues down, and I really wanted to have it kind of stop and start in certain areas. See how there's a sharp stop in the shading, and then it keeps going. That just helps refine make the muscles look more defined, so you know exactly where the pec starts and stops. I just felt before it was a little unsure and blurred, so I just wanted to kind of clear that up. And now you can see where the chest bulges out there. So yeah, and without that, yeah, so just you can see a little bit more shine on top of the ab there. And again, I just wanted to mention, so this shoulder, I added in that shoulder now, you can see. So I've put in a bit of a shoulder there. I've refined the collarbone. Really want to make sure that's tucked right in. The neck is brought into it a bit more now. And yeah, that's about it. So let's have a look zoomed out before and after. So I just feel like he just needed more mass through his torso. And he, like before, I felt like his arm was just a bit too big. I know he's got big hands and big arms because he's got these kind of big claw cat arms. But I just feel like the biceps and all this needed to kind of catch up a little bit to up this part here. So I feel like the proportions might work a bit better here. I also, just to keep in mind, I also arched the pose like this. So as if it's a bit of a swish, and then the collarbone, and then the arm up. That kind of action is what I was going for here. Whereas before, I feel like it was just a little bit too straight up. Which I know that's what you're going for, and it's okay. But I really wanted to have the legs kind of out strong, like a really strong pose. That big swish kind of pose up and out. You see that kind of motion, and then the shoulders, and then really angle that up. So you see how there's just a little bit more motion in these motion lines. So that's kind of what I was going for there. So that's about it. That's about all I can really say. Literally, I can't pick anything else. I love your coloring style. Absolutely love it. Love what you're doing. I have no faults with anything else. I think it's all gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Really just wanted to kind of help you with the main guy in the middle there. So yeah, I loved your composition. Absolutely loved the layout. When I first saw this, my first reaction was just like, wow. I just couldn't believe it. So Yeah, beautiful work there, Nemo, and I hope those changes help. I'll just do a little flick on and off again so you can see from a distance. So I hope that helps, and I can't wait to see more from you. So yeah, keep it up. Alright everyone, that is it. All wrapped up on this monthly project. Can't believe I've done 22 now. But that was awesome. It was really good to see all this nostalgia, and there's so much talent here as well. I think you all did an awesome job, and I hope you all got a bit out of those critiques as well. Even if you didn't get the critique, it's always usually handy to check them out and see some tips, feedback that you could probably implement into your art. And don't forget, if you want to join these monthly projects, just head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/PatrickBrown, and you can jump on these. There's also art competitions, and I do tutorials every fortnight. Alright, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you all in the next monthly project.